I have this show, and it's called The Messy Truth. And the reason that I called the show The Messy Truth is that the truth is messy. Hence the name of the show. And I think I sometimes confuse people as to what I'm doing with the show and what I'm trying to do on CNN. And I think these are confusing enough times that I want to take this as an opportunity to give you a little bit of insight into what I think I'm doing and maybe get some feedback from you, maybe figure out a way to do it better. But I kind of come by my views about the truth being messy pretty honestly. I get it from my dad. My father was born in segregation and poverty in 1944. I'm a ninth generation American. I'm the first one in my family that was born with all my rights recognized by the government. Now, people often think of these racial issues as being, 10,000 years ago. My mother was born in segregation. My father was born in segregation. They were both married under segregation. My cousin Kenya was born before Johnson signed the 64 and 65 Civil Rights Acts. She was born in a country where her rights weren't recognized. I'm the first person in 9 generations born with all my rights recognized by the government. So that's messy. My family's probably been here as long as anybody's family, and yet we just now have gotten citizenship rights in my generation. And then my dad was a particular kind of a guy. Everybody else was running out of the military. My dad ran in because my dad was trying to get out of poverty. And so he joined the military, he got out, he put himself through college, he married the college president's daughter because my dad had it like that. And, but he didn't stop there. He put his little brother through college. And then he put his cousin through college. And then he and my mother put me and my twin sister, Angela, through college. And he got his whole family out of poverty. Well, everybody who wanted to come. Some people didn't want to come. But everybody who wanted to come, he got his whole entire family out of poverty by his hard work and dedication. And some of my fondest memories were sitting with my father in our modest home in Tennessee, watching CNN. And my dad had the fastest political mind of anybody I've ever met. I've worked with David Axelrod, I've worked in the White House under President Obama. There's nobody that was as fast or smart or sharp as my father. And he would sit there and he would rip these people to shreds. He would attack the liberals, he'd attack the conservatives, he'd attack the Republicans and Democrats, and I watched him do it. And I learned from him a way of seeing not just the news, but of life. My dad said, I hate the way the liberals think about poverty. He said, you can't give anybody anything that will stop them from being poor. You can't give them money. You can't give them gifts. If you give them money, but they're still poor in their heart, they're still poor in their skills, they're still poor in their self-esteem, you stop them from being broke, but they'll be poor again tomorrow. He said, every poor kid has to climb that ladder out of poverty on their own effort, with their own determination. Otherwise, it can be taken away from them. And so he said, and I know that was my own story. He said, I don't think the liberals understand that. You can't give people anything to stop them from being poor. He said, but I don't like the conservatives either. Because even though it's true that every kid, every child has a responsibility to climb that ladder out of poverty, every adult also has a responsibility to make sure that each child has a ladder to climb. And the problem that we have right now is a lot of the rungs in the ladder that were there for me aren't there for these poor kids anymore. And so both parties are missing what's going on. And I say that as a way to frame my own struggle in this media environment. People say we're in a hyper-partisan media environment. That's not true. This is a tribal media environment. We're past partisanship. We are now in a media environment where it feels tribal. And if you criticize your own team or say something kind about someone on the other team, that's just not maybe a question of a difference of opinion. You are now a traitor. You are a traitor. You have committed an act of treason. And if you are on the right and you make any concession that any Democrat might have anything worthwhile to say, you are a socialist, you're a cuck. I looked that up, it's not good. I don't encourage you to look that up. But they have these terrible words that will rain down on you like a thunderstorm of bricks if you try to cross over from the right. If you're on the left and you say anything at all, I was on the air for 4 hours kicking Donald Trump in the butt, but I gave him his credit for giving a presidential sounding speech and for moving me and a lot of people in doing so. And therefore, Hitler. Like, if you look on social media, Van Jones is normalizing Trump, therefore Hitler. Now, if you just see this as entertainment, it's great. If this is just a way to pass the time, it's almost like sports. You have your team, I have my team. It's not a problem unless your country is in deep trouble. And then it's a major problem because the entire national conversation has now boiled down to this: I'm right, you're wrong. I'm right, you're wrong. And if you look across all of the media platforms, social media, mainstream media, left-wing media, right-wing media, it's the same conversation. I'm right, you're wrong. Or worse, we're right, they're wrong. We're not even talking to each other, we're talking about each other. Now, again, if everything's hunky-dory, who cares? But if you're dealing with catastrophic climate change, if you're dealing with North Korea, if you're dealing with funerals in the inner city, and not just from police violence, but from street violence too, if you're dealing with an education system that's failing everybody, if you're dealing with the actual problems that we have, if you're dealing with a Rust Belt that's out of jobs, if you're dealing with the fact that Silicon Valley is about to wipe out 1 billion more jobs with apps and smart screens and drones and robots and artificial intelligence, if you've got real problems to solve, you can't solve them in that structure. You can't solve them. It's like trying to download complex, nuanced solutions into I'm right, you're wrong infrastructure. It's like trying to download iTunes onto a BlackBerry. It just won't even load. And so I had the great privilege and honor of getting a chance to be a part of CNN's coverage of this past election. And I'll always credit Jeff Zucker for being willing to put me, a new guy, on television on night after night after night, on some of the biggest nights in American television history, and giving me a chance. Because you gotta know, I didn't come up through the Democratic Party, I didn't come up through mainstream media, I come out of grassroots activism, working on the front lines in places like Oakland, California, dealing with youth violence and trying to close youth prisons and going to a lot of funerals, frankly, for a lot of poor kids. And I wasn't the most obvious choice to be a part of this national conversation. But CNN took a chance on me and put me out there night after night. And I started having this inner terror that maybe I was contributing to the problem. I got very good at saying, I don't know, that Donald Trump sucks, in various, more clever ways. But when you get in an Uber and you go home, I have kids. And sometimes, you get home and you call the kids, and you can tell that they were watching. And all I saw was grown folks fighting.